Welcome to your first look from Racer X at the Guaranteed Rate Ironman National in Indiana, round 3 of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing. Guaranteed Rate, new sponsor of the series. It's a mortgage loan company. They didn't tell me to say that. I just think it's cool when outside sponsors get involved. And we have a new sponsor for this show. It's 6D Helmets, dedicated to the relentless pursuit of better brain protection. Do you really need me to explain why that's important? Here's the great thing about coming to Crawfordsville, Indiana. A, it's not Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, where I spent the last 4 weekends. Loretta's is great, but we're done. Second, what's great is the weather is a lot different than what we had in Tennessee. This sand section here, this mulch, this sand, some of it's been watered by the water truck, but look, the parts the water truck didn't get are bone dry. There's a lot of fear that we'd have another mud race this weekend, but so far so good. There is a chance of some spotty thunderstorms today, but Jeff Russell and Randy Poulter from the track crew here say if the track can take some rain, we're not scheduled to have overnight rain like we did at Loretta's last week, so hopefully we don't have a mudder, which means we can focus on cool motocross stuff like the not quite iconic yet, this track is still relatively new on the motocross side, but famous Godzilla uphill triple and the big downhill back into the track. So that's the cool thing. Hopefully we get heads-up racing on a more traditional pro motocross track with more traditional weather, which allows us to focus instead of on the conditions. Instead, we can focus on the riders. And a couple riders we're going to talk about here. We had a chance to talk to them midweek during a post-race press conference. They were podium guys at Loretta's, and they were very pleased with that. Obviously, a lot of attention on Eli Tomac having bike problems last week and Zach Osborne winning 2 in a row, but there are lots of other stories in this 450 class. Second in the standings right now is Marvin Musquin, and that is great for him because he had not raced in a year. It was actually this track, now 53 weeks ago, that he won the first moto and won it by catching and passing Eli Tomac and Ken Roxon. And then in Moto 2, he and Zach Osborne tangled over there off the start, and he hurt his knee. That knee had been bothering him for a while. He needed a really gnarly surgery. He said he would not have been back if this championship started in May. If it started in July, like it was supposed to at one point, he said it would have been very tough. About 3 weeks before what became the opener, August 15th, is when he finally started feeling better. Now, Marvin admits that he's not quite back to 100% with the knee or even his cardio bike fitness as he had before the injury, but he's second in points. Maybe won't mention it's 19 down on Osborne already, but he is pleasantly surprised with how things have gone so far.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been racing, obviously, but I got a good time to get ready for that new season, even though, yeah, it was a tough one, missing a whole year, and yeah, I mean, my knee, yeah, it's still not perfect, you know. But I'm feeling actually pretty good on the bike, so that's the most important thing. And then, yeah, I mean, leaving Loretta's number 2, second in the championship, I'm right now I can't believe it because, I mean, everybody had a lot of issues. You know, in the first 2 rounds, to be honest, not only this weekend. So yeah, I'm happy, but I know I can do better. So that's why I'm excited to keep on going and to try to be better. And obviously this weekend was tough for everybody. And unfortunately, that first moto, we made a mistake on the rear tire, and that didn't really work out for me. It didn't even help me for the start with that paddle tire, but that's the way it is. You know, you try things and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So I tried my best. I ended up going down and I had to stop for gloves. I stopped way too long. So that was not good. I lost some positions, ended up 8th. I was not happy with that, but definitely the second moto was better. The track was better too. The start was awesome, and that put me in a good position to actually battle for the win. And Zach got me. I found some new lines from him, especially going through the 10 Commandment, and I started to ride better and better. Unfortunately, I follow him right before the finish line. That left, I went to that big red. I follow him and I got stuck. My left leg got stuck. So I lost like 10 seconds. But after that, I was able to come back on his rear wheel and get second. So that was a good charge at the end. It was actually a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the riding towards the end. But yeah, I want to do better than that. But my goal was to be competitive, and I think I'm right there. I'm able to battle with the top guys. So wanna get better and do more.
So that's Marvin Musquin. Great to have him back with us. And also great to have some rookies up in the mix. The story at round 1 was Chase Sexton, the Honda HRC rider who was fastest in qualifying, got 3rd in a moto. Round 2 for him was a wash in the mud. So hopefully we get the fast Chase Sexton back without mud this weekend. So the rookie star at round 2 was Adam Cianciarulo, who doesn't love AC. Why do we love him? Because he gives you gold when you ask him questions. There was a moment in the second moto where he got passed by Zach Osborne, and he had a hilarious reaction to the whole situation.
Well, I didn't know he was there, for one, and I knew I was really bad in that section from the mechanics area to the 10 Commandments. I had been trying to figure it out a few laps prior, so he definitely came up on me quick there. And my first initial thought was, honestly, Anderson's kind of been riding like an a-hole so far this year to me, like running me all over the track and stuff. So I thought it was him, and then I saw the 16, and I'm like, we've run into each other so many times. I almost just laugh it off at this point. No, I mean, both of those guys were cool. But yeah, I more so just laughed. I honestly didn't have the pace that he had. So I did my best not to get emotional and not, get crazy mad and try to do something stupid. So just tried to, chug along, and then Jason came behind me a couple laps later, but those guys were just a little bit better than me, and I just kind of took a back seat and took a 5th.
So that's Adam. Now, before the race last week, he told myself and Steve Mathis, he said, my goal is to go 8-8 in the motos and not get on TV. He's tired of crashing. He's tired of spectacular incidents. He's tired of looking great, but not pulling it off with the actual finish at the end. We said there's no chance you're going to finish the same spot in both motos, be it 3rd, 8th, 1st, whatever. You're going to have one good one, one bad one. He proved us wrong for most of the race last week, as he was actually 3rd in Moto 1 and was running 3rd in Moto 2 for most. He did drop back to 5th at the end, but somehow that ended up 2nd overall. Overall, here are Adam's thoughts on the weekend outside of that incident with who we thought was Anderson, but turned out to be Osborne.
Since the beginning of Supercross there, when I broke my collarbone, it seems like I was at a little bit of my year was kind of spiraling a little bit. I had a couple bad things happen. Obviously had that crash in Supercross in Salt Lake, and was doing well at the first Loretta's and had a crash there, and that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So it was good to, in super gnarly conditions like that, just to put a couple solid shows together. I can't say I've ever gone 3-5 for 2nd overall, but everybody knows in the mud, if you put yourself up there and kind of just keep chugging along, you can put yourself in a position to, be up there in the overall podium. And I definitely played a little bit cautious in that second moto, just trying to, bring her home and put 2 solid finishes together. And definitely glad we, were able to get a consistent day under our belt. And I think, I definitely got a lot of confidence from that, and looking forward to kind of seeing where that puts us going forward.
Okay, so that's Cianciarulo and Musquin in the 450 class. Like I said, we know the biggest story right now is Tomac digging a big hole with the bike problems and not finishing either moto last week, and Osborne winning the first 2. So Tomac is 7th in points, but I don't think anyone's looking at who's in between. It's more of the 40-point gap he has to make up to get back to Osborne. It is going to be tough, but remember, Osborne, his bike didn't even start for his qualifying session last week. So a quick reminder of how quickly things can turn around and how easily Tomac could essentially make up points if he gets a little bad luck from Zacho. And it's going to be fun to have these guys duking it out this weekend. Remember, Tomac not usually lightning quick with the starts. So if he's going to make up points on all these guys, he's probably going to have to pass them in the motos, and that's going to be really fun to watch. Now let's transition to the 250 class. Jeremy Martin has won a race. Dylan Ferrandis has won a race, but right there with them has been RJ Hampshire. Look, you've got Ferrandis of 2 Supercross titles. You've got Martin of 2 Motocross titles. And then you have Hampshire, who's won like a race. So it is impressive for Hampshire to be right in there with them and winning the first moto last week. A heartbreaker that he came from way back to 7th in the second moto, only had his bike let go. But overall, you can just see the focus, the determination, the motivation. It's like this guy is just mentally willing himself to run up front, to heal up from knee injuries, to ride at another level, and that's impressive. Here's more from RJ.
I started the year off with moto scores 3-2-1. That's by far the best I've ever been, and I feel like I'm happy with where I'm at. I know my speed's solid. Main thing was just prove to myself, like, look, I can, battle for wins. And that first moto was pretty close, but we had, minute 20 back to third. I was in the mud, but still I felt like, that's where I should be. So just kind of keep my head, on straight and get good starts, run up front. I know I should be there. So prove it again this weekend.
All right, let's continue talking about the 250 class here as 6D presents First Look from Racer X. We're at the finish line now. I'm sweating. We are back to traditional Lucas Oil Pro Motocross conditions. I don't think people cared that we had 2 races at Loretta's. I don't think they cared that they had a mud race. I don't think they care that it's super hot and humid today. This is what we wanted. We wanted to get motocross back, especially someone like Jeremy Martin, who had not raced in 2 years. And if this series didn't happen and all he had was a few okay Supercross finishes this year to call a 2020 season, that would have been very disappointing for him. So he has a win under his belt, but let's be honest, that was in a mud race, and he was aware of that. You go back to round 1 in better conditions, and Ferrandis rolled Martin and everybody else. So it'd be easy to say, take out the mud. Ferrandis is by far the fastest guy in the class. But a little point from Jeremy. He did a lot of his preseason run-up at his home track there in Millville, Minnesota, and he said he started changing the bike setup. He thought it'd be better, but in the end, he was reacting too much to those different style of bumps that you get at local amateur races, which is what he was riding there. And then he knew at round 1 at Loretta's immediately, especially the rear shock, he had gone the wrong way. He fixed it for round 2. He thought it'd be better. Didn't really get to show it because it was a mud race, but he is confident that he'll be better from here on out than he was at the opener. We'll see if he can give Ferrandis a run, even up. They're pretty much even in the standings, but Ferrandis was definitely faster at the only dry race we had this year. So we'll see how Jeremy responds. I would talk more about Jeremy's brother Alex, who was really fast, could have went 1-1 last weekend in the mud, but Mathis has dedicated so much time across the Racer X channels and his own to the troll train this week that we have reached our allotted amount of time I can talk about Alex Martin. I just want to say that he's been really good, like really, really good. And if he were to win this weekend, we should not be shocked, but we should also run from Mathis because he's going to keep talking about it and talking about it. The rest of the class are waiting for those young guys to catch fire. Jet Lawrence had problems in the mud last weekend. The whole Geico Honda team did. Their engines didn't blow. They actually had the mesh guard that's there to block the mud on their radiators. If a rider tipped over, they had problems with that falling off, and then the radiators were packed with mud, and that's what happened to most of the bikes. They didn't blow up. Once the bikes cooled down, they started. Martin nursed his to the finish. Pretty much no one else did, but it still could have been worse. Hunter Lawrence didn't finish the first moto last week because his shoulder came out, and I thought, oh, here comes another out for 3 months due to surgery press release for Hunter, but he is here. I saw him in the pits back there. He said he's going to try to race this weekend. Be awesome to have him in it. We want more contenders up there in a class that's usually super deep, but it doesn't look that way right now. So we'll see who else can get in there besides Hampshire, the Martins, and Ferrandis, who have been swallowing up the podiums so far this year. Shane McElrath's been right outside of that. Cameron McAdoo's been right outside of that. Who will be the next one to get in there and run at the front and try to win one of these motos? So good to have motocross, hopefully on a dry racetrack and a familiar racetrack with established players. That's what we like. Thanks for watching First Look, brought to you by 6D, dedicated to the relentless pursuit of better brain protection. And we will see you on Saturday.